It was always going to be a verbatim theatre piece because this is not an experience that I've had myself. This is not an experience that I hope to have. But also, it's not an experience that I know about. So, you know, the other plays that I've written or that I've devised, I know something about personally those subjects. So for me, I wanted to really take word for word people's true accounts of their experience and place it on stage. Started asking around, would you be interested in talking to me about your experience? And it was kind of like a tree with two branches. You know, I started off with just two people and then they would say yes or no. And then from there, if they said no, I would still ask, you know, do you have, you know, let's say a couple of other people who you know who might want to talk to me. So they'd give me, you know, 3 other names and then I'd talk to those people and out of them I'd get one. And then from there it has created the 11 people that, stories that I now have. I mean, grateful is not a big enough word to explain how thankful I was, you know, that they would allow me to come into their homes, their private spaces, or meet them at their place of work. So speak to me for about 2 hours, 3 hours about their experience, and almost as if they had no filter. Like, I'm quite sure there are things that they've kept private, but I can't possibly imagine what those things were because they told me a lot. And so you have to imagine that it's like a 3-hour monologue. And then so there's 11 3-hour monologues that everybody spoke at great length about their court and their sub-court and the bus. Even the bus going to prison has so much detail in their stories. You know, things like being on the bus on the ECP and one character talking about the fact that he knew that he was going, it really struck him that he was going to prison because it didn't turn off, you know, where he lived. It didn't take the turn off. Another guy, you know, being in a bus with lots of people who are returning to prison, and them kind of being quite jolly about going back, you know. But it's weird because on the surface, yes, it looks jolly, but even all the characters have spoken about being, you know, putting on a strong face and even making jokes and things like that. But then they will go on to speak about what's underneath that and why they do that. So a simple thing like taking the bus isn't so simple anymore. One person I spoke to, he said he was very reticent because he felt that he couldn't get through the interview without really breaking down. And after we finished, he said to me, oh, that wasn't so bad. But then there are things that he very, you know, almost like a wall that he wouldn't speak about, because I think he knew that if he was going to speak about it, he was going to lose it. There's this whole section about soap and Singapore prisons giving this tiny brown soap to them to use for 2 weeks, right? And all of them spoke at great lengths about how difficult it was with the soap and what you have to do with the soap, and the ingenuity of the older inmates who have been in there for a long time, who will take a thread out of their T-shirt and will saw the soap into 4 separate pieces. So one character spoke at great length about spending his youth in church, and then when reaching teenage years deciding, no, this God, and I inverted commas, this God thing, he calls it, is not for him. And then when he was in prison about 6 weeks in, he every Sunday would hear the announcement for Christian service. And he thought one Sunday, oh, you know what, it might do me some good to go. So he goes and they play Amazing Grace, and he breaks down, and then he's talking about, I didn't want to break down because I don't want to look like a pussy in front of the other men, and then coming back to the cell, and that really set him on a path, and it's bizarre. That really helped him because every single night he would, for 20 minutes, talk to God. In creating it, I go, okay, you have this soap story that's everyone's story, and then you have this story that's only one person's story, so I think that should go in. So that's the way that the script is structured. If everyone spoke about it, it's definitely in. And then if one person speaks at great length about something that really changed his or her life, then that's spoken about as well. So with the transcripts, there are several versions. There is the original version, which has the names and everything in it. Then there's the edited versions with the names cut out and any kind of incriminating, or not incriminating, but leading towards an indication of who this person might be. And then the third transcript is the one that the actors get, which is a edited version. I would meet them for about an hour, 2 hours, and go through that edited transcript and talk about what kind of person he was. And what I mean by what kind of person, like the temperament or the body language or the tone of voice. There was a lot of talking. I mean, that's what we had to do. We just had to talk a lot, and a lot of questions like, what does the door look like that the food comes through, or that a prison warden looks through? What are the grates that we're seeing? What's the material on the floor? What color are the walls? In the poster, Ian is holding the Toyoga box, and the Toyoga box is something that all the male prisoners get. So they call it a barang, or some people call it a Tupperware, which is a box that has your prisonware in it. It has a cup, it has toothpaste, it has a blanket, and that's it. That's what you get for your time, and everyone has one. And not many people know that, so I thought, okay, if people are seeing the poster, they will understand the significance of the Toyoga box. I think other people are just like, oh, okay, that looks nice, but yeah.